4 hooves, ginger, 2 ginger, and 1 black pepper.
Yeah. Today I'm really excited to showcase another extremely talented Filipino chef, Kate. Although she doesn't work particularly with Filipino food, she has worked in some of the best Michelin restaurants in San Francisco. These include Murad and more famously, Atelier Crenn. That Atelier Crenn that you've seen on Chef's Table. Kate is really awesome because she is the first and only Filipino chef that I know that is from the southern islands of the Philippines called Mindanao. For those of you that don't know, there is such a huge discrepancy in food between Luzon, which is where my family is from, and the southern islands. So I'm extremely excited to have someone to showcase food from her region and food from her memories. Kate grew up in the Philippines, particularly in South Cotabato. The dish that she will be teaching us how to make today is called Balbacua. To summarize the dish, it's an extremely collagen-rich soup, usually made from the skin of beef, infused with a lot of aromatics that are both Filipino and Chinese in origin, and also influenced by the spices that you'd find in food from the South. Like everything else you've seen in this series, the most time-intensive parts are the stewing, which breaks down the collagen to make it really tender. Other than that, the recipe is very straightforward to follow, but without further ado, let's see how Kate makes Balbacua.
I grew up in this small town called Pulomolok in South Cotabato, which is near Jensen, General Santos City. Most recently, there's a lot of balbacuahan. I grew up eating balbacua because my friend Oria, hi Oria, and her auntie Bibi had a balbacuahan. Basically, balbacua is like slow simmered beef parts, more the collagenous parts of beef. It's a soup with a lot of aromatics. It's a combination of like maybe tinola, a little bit of sinigang in there, and this thing they call sibot. Somehow they got all combined to make balbacua. The interesting thing is balbacua derives from the word barbacoa, which we know like famously from Mexico,
yeah.
Like cochinita pibil and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The southern part of the country lends more to lighter dishes. This is still a pretty rich dish. If you research like balbacua in like the northern regions of Visayan, and even the Cavite one maybe, it's probably a lot richer. For balbacua, they typically use skin, beef skin or ox skin. They even use oxtail sometimes. Opted for cow foot.
This was like as collagen rich as using skin.
Yes, yeah. So, and it's like more than just skin, it has like tendon and all that stuff. I soaked it in cold water in the fridge, changed out the water a few times. We can add most of the collagen here. This is actually tendon, but I want to get more of the skin. Lots of bone, which is good for broth, good for flavor. Back home in General Santos or in Pulomolok, in the balbacuahan, when you get an order, they actually cut up the meaty parts for you. If you take it to go, they have like two pots, like giant stock pots. One is for broth and the other one is for the meaty parts, or like these parts.
Is there any like analogous dish that you could probably relate this to in like another culture?
Actually, yeah. Another one would be solongtang, which is like Korean salt
bone
soup.
Broth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll saute this up with some things. It's not traditional to saute it. Typically, Filipinos, practicality-wise, they just throw everything
in a pot.
Yeah.
This is something that I noticed with Yana too when she was making bok choy. She said that traditionally you just throw all the ingredients in the pot and like let it simmer. Same with adobo, same with a lot of Filipino food. It's cool that chefs like Kate now are taking extra steps to extract more flavor because of their culinary skills.
The ox feet had been simmered. I simmered it yesterday 4 to 5 hours with lots of ginger. There's also some of the collagenous and chewy sticky things in there that we cut up. At this point, actually, if you want to make it easy for yourself, you can just add all your aromatics to this broth, including the spices, and just simmer it for like another hour until the texture of the beef parts are good to you. So we're gonna saute some of the beef collagen skin that we have in annatto oil. That will be how we're gonna get that coloring agent in there. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt to it. I'll let it cut. So I'm just gonna cut it in half. Just like that. Add it in. Lemongrass. Put that in. This is the Cadenopsis. This is the Shudi. Angelica root. Right? Chuan Sheng. I forgot the scientific name. 1 bay leaf. Gonna add our broth. At this point, most of our beef is already at a good tenderness. I just let it simmer for all the flavors from the tonic, like the medicinal herbs to come out. We'll taste it. We'll season it with like salt, some black pepper. I'm actually gonna grind the black pepper now.
It's very aromatic. Like everything together.
Yes.
Do you find that like food from General Santos or Mindanao in general is aromatic? Because I know there is more like Thai, Southeast Asian influence in terms of like them using more chilies, lemongrass, for example, a lot more ginger, I think.
Yeah, definitely growing up, like for me at least, a lot of ginger. You say tinola, it's like ginger soup. Lots of lemongrass. When we eat, it's a little bit lighter, thick. Like sometimes we eat like kare-kare. It's like an indulgence for us. We grew up eating tinola or like bulalo. Even our bulalo has a lot of ginger in it too.
Interesting. Wow.
Like to the point that it's like spicy.
Not like actual like chilies or anything. Just
no,
like,
yeah,
just
it's just spice. Oh, speaking of chilies, we're gonna add chilies. If it's not spicy enough, I have some Thai chilies in the freezer. Goji berries, from what I read, longer you simmer it, the more sour it gets. And then the final addition would be the tamarind. Anything with citric acid or some sort of like acid, like fresh acidity, we want to add at the end so that we don't lose that sharpness. So we're gonna add the tamarind at the end. Surprise dish for the day. We do kinilaw a lot back home, which is actually like the predecessor of the sisig.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So this is like a jackfruit, underripe jackfruit, simmered, and then it's seasoned with like equal parts coconut milk, vinegar, a little bit of sugar, shallots, tomatoes, crunchy tomatoes. So it's a bit sour. Has a little bit of smokiness.
This is very interesting. I can't say like I've had a Filipino dish that has this kind of flavor. It's like very herbal, spicy, sour.
Yeah, and it's not too sour that you could call it sinigang.
This is hella good.
Yeah, good. You want to take some home? Say malabnaw, right? It's like more, not as thick. It's a little bit thinner broth because we use cow foot. Has a lot of tendon and it kind of extracted a lot of that collagen.
Yeah.
That's why it's thicker. I actually kind of like.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing this regional dish with me. This is like my first time having anything made from Mindanao, and so I've always been curious. Haven't been yet, but always been curious about food there because I know it's radically different than the food that you can get in like the mainland.
Yeah.
Luzon.
There's more to just lumpia and pancit. Like in Filipino food and it's like regional cooking, different inflections from other cultures like Chinese, some Malay, Indonesian, all that stuff. Muslim, especially in Mindanao.
Well, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this recipe was easy to follow along. I really encourage you to make this at home just so that you can try more kinds of Filipino food. If you want to check out Kate, follow her at Breadbelly where she makes bomb Asian and Filipino inspired pastries.
Husband over here. Check us out. Not super traditional Asian American food. Hopefully be pleasantly surprised.
Stay tuned for the next episode where we're going to be with a Kapampangan chef making a simple corn dish called suam na mais.
Suam.
Hey guys, thanks for watching this episode with me and Kate. And please, although the recipe requires a lot of ingredients, check the description box down below because I'll have all of that detail for you to make this recipe at home. But I just want to say that Kate is one of the few and only chefs that I know, friends that I know that are from Mindanao. Growing up, I only knew the culture of Luzon, which is where my family's from, which is predominantly Catholic. And it's very different from the Muslim side of the Philippines, which is where Kate is from. Despite this difference and disparity between our two cultures, they're still part of the Philippines and they still have a beautiful array of food that I am completely eager and excited to try. Give this recipe a shot, and if you are a chef in the Bay Area from Mindanao, hit me up. I would love to feature you and share more of your story and our cuisine.